Hey guys, I'm Ahmed,
And I'm Nick.
and this is Not So Fine. Welcome back, guys. So today on Not So Fine, we are going to be talking coffee, mostly, but also some other beverages from some really popular coffee establishments here in the United States anyway, but also in tons of overseas countries.
Oh, for sure.
So those brands are Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, as you might have known if you're watching this video. You probably do. What we did was we stepped out a little bit earlier, and we wanted to get a decent selection, really popular beverages from both of the establishments.
Yeah.
So what we settled on here is a medium, or by Starbucks standards, grande iced vanilla latte. Yeah. So then we went ahead and got the same thing from Dunkin' Donuts.
Yep.
Liquid by volume seems like a lot more. I hadn't really thought about it.
Yeah. It looks like, a grande by Starbucks standards is 16 ounces.
Maybe 18?
Dunkin' might be 18 or 20.
Yeah, it seems like it. And then we also went and got two beverages that we both, I think, maybe have never had.
I've had the Starbucks one.
Okay, I've not had either.
Yeah.
So this is a vanilla bean, blended beverage frappuccino by Starbucks terminology, and this guy here, similar beverage, also vanilla bean, and is a culotta.
Culotta, yep.
Yeah.
Also blended beverage.
Yep.
So which beverage are we going to start with first?
I think we also have some dark roast,
Yep.
hot coffee in some thermoses off camera that we got just a short while ago from both Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. So for Dunkin', it should be what they call it their Dunkin' Dark.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
just one.
Yeah, just the only.
One option.
And then
Starbucks was
Verona.
It was Cafe Verona.
Yeah.
Yep. Very popular dark roast for Starbucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty good one too.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Dunkin' first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it a.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
If only the budget allowed for two of each,
Well.
I hadn't even thought of it.
Yeah.
So that's the vanilla flavor's there. It's not the world's most artificial vanilla flavor, but it's not too real either.
No. What gets me really is that typical Dunkin' coffee sort of taste. Like, I remember when I was a kid in high school, I would stop at a Dunkin' Donuts along the way to get a coffee, and I would order a hazelnut coffee, and it had the same sort of flavor signature as actually this beverage does, except this is a little bit sweeter and a little bit more vanilla-y. But it's got that same sort of coffee signature. It's kind of.
I don't want to call that the most unpleasant beverage. I really don't think it is.
No.
I'll call it drinkable.
It certainly is.
Not something I might get a lot, but a little better than I remembered. Now, primarily when I got a beverage like this, it was hot, but yeah, not too bad. Not outstanding, but not bad either.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go ahead.
Thank you.
No problem.
Right off the bat, it's a lot less sweet.
Yes.
Which, it's interesting because Dunkin' actually, from what I understand, they don't actually put any sweetener in their mixers, in their swirls.
The sugar's in the pump, or whatever you might call it.
Yes.
As far as I know, anyhow.
Yep. But the Starbucks is definitely less sweet, and
the coffee flavor.
Oh my goodness.
A lot more present.
Yes, and it's.
And the vanilla is actually, it's more subdued, but it's a little more natural.
It is. It definitely is, without a doubt.
But yeah, no, it's this is still not something that I maybe would want to drink like every day.
No, but I could.
Once in a while for sure. Yeah, no, it's pretty tasty. It's the sweetness. While it is I won't say a lot, but pretty sweet. But still, it's a lot more subdued than that. And it's just a more complex flavor, only because the coffee's present. Not that it's a outstanding drink. It's just I like the flavor more because I like coffee.
Yeah. I would say the Starbucks is more drinkable than the Dunkin', though.
100%. I couldn't drink this often.
No.
I could have it once in a while if somebody got one for me as a gesture of kindness. I could definitely drink that. But this guy, I could see myself going and getting this, once a week or a couple times a month. But maybe no more than that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No. You know what? Pleasantly surprised by the Dunkin'. As honestly, not too bad. But I do still prefer the Starbucks.
Oh, definitely. So we'll start with the vanilla bean culotta from Dunkin'. All right, we'll give this a go here.
Yeah. Hit the water a little bit.
It's very...
Started to melt a little.
Yeah.
What is this?
I don't even know. It's very like there is no depth to the flavor at all. It's all like at the front of the palate.
Guess
and
it
it's
tastes
just
like vanilla, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like just sugar.
Part of me wants to just, oh God, I don't like that. It sat on my tongue for a sec. Oof.
Yeah.
My brain immediately said something like, oh, like this is like a melted ice cream sort of flavor, but I don't even know if I can give it that much credit.
Yeah.
Milkshakes, while like as sweet as this, are more pleasant.
They certainly are.
That's a weird flavor. And honestly, it has sat a little while, in fairness, and it's separated a little bit from the like frozen crushed ice, whatever, shaved ice maybe you might call it.
Yeah.
But
still, that's just not.
It's not great.
No.
Here you go.
We'll go with the vanilla bean. See how we do. That's very nice.
Hit the water quick.
So again, I find this to be less sweet. Not by much.
Still really sweet, but
definitely. But it's not.
That's way. It's
not aggressive.
Closer to a milkshake.
Yeah.
It tastes more like what a milkshake might taste like.
Oh, for sure.
It's not. I could drink this out like a carnival. I don't know, like
Yeah.
I'd have to be in a particular mood or environment.
It's been probably a decade since I've had one of those.
Yeah, Frappuccino. My girlfriend drinks. Well, she used to drink a lot of what they call blendeds from Caribou Coffee, if you're familiar in the Midwest. And I didn't know. I wasn't too familiar with the blended coffee beverage type of thing at that time. And she gave me one once, and oh man, I couldn't drink it. It was, but not because if it had been like this, excuse me, I might have been a little more on board with it. The problem was, it's not. She gets like this caramel thing, so it's like, it's this sweet.
Yeah.
And then added caramel, it's a bit much.
Definitely.
But
all right.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't call this bad at all though.
Just gonna put this one back.
It's the far superior beverage to the Dunkin', I think. There's not a lot of comparison there.
Yeah, that particular Dunkin' qualifies as a not so fine.
That's for sure. The latte was, albeit not amazing, but a pleasant surprise. But the that thing, yeah, no.
When you have to ask yourself, what
is
that?
this? Yeah, maybe you don't drink it. Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, gosh. All right, so we have ourselves in this wonderful thermos here some Dunkin' Dark Roast. Dunkin' Donuts, they source their coffee beans exclusively from Brazil. So it's just one big farm in Brazil.
I'm thinking maybe let's just share that to not have to rinse out the cup.
That's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. So it's one big farm in Brazil. So there's no blending of different coffee beans from a variety of different farms from different regions. It's not like they offer different coffees from different growing regions, which do affect how things taste in terms of the flavor notes that you end up getting from the coffee. But the advantage is really to have the consistency from one Dunkin' to the next. Is the coffee all tastes the same? Whereas if you're sourcing your coffee from a variety of different farms, you can get inconsistencies there. Or if, like what Starbucks does, for example, is that some stores will have certain coffees on at certain periods of time, and other stores will have different coffees during that period of time. So, for example, Cafe Verona is it's a blend of from various growing regions, and that'll be the dark roast that we try from Starbucks today. But in any event, let's you want to give this a try?
Before even you can go for it first.
Okay.
What I would say is before even tasting it, as soon as you poured it, big smell. I was a foot from it. And still, kind of a good smell, a real coffee smell.
Yeah.
But that's my 2 cents. But you can jump in on there.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean the color on it is definitely dark. Like they definitely brewed this maybe stronger than they would their normal coffee, and it's definitely clearly indicative of a bean that has been roasted longer. We'll see how we do.
In the meantime, here I went ahead and just pulled up briefly the costs for Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks to just get that sort of out of the way. And so for the latte, it turned out that the Dunkin' medium latte is $3.19. I don't know how up to date this information is. Relatively, I'm assuming. Fight with Google about it, not me. And then for Starbucks, the grande medium, $3.65. So I think size-wise, what's the venti? 20 ounces?
Well, a venti, iced venti is 26.
26? Okay, so we can kind of forget that. I was going to maybe make the apples-to-apples comparison, but regardless. But there you go. So kind of had presumed, the Starbucks, even though it's a bit smaller, a little bit more expensive. It was 30, 50 cents maybe. But additionally, less volume. So again, the value proposition for Dunkin'. I think that's why a lot of the patrons are real into it. But let's give this a shot.
I'll say right off the bat that it's not the worst coffee that I've ever tasted. I've definitely had worse.
It's, honestly, I'll say better than diner coffee. Most diners, anyway.
Yeah, than standard
standard diner coffee. Yeah. The coffee you're gonna get at like IHOP.
Yeah.
I think this is better than that.
It certainly is, but it's very one note. There's really just one flavor going on, and that's coffee.
There's a little bit of like zest to it. Lemon in a vague way, like
some
peel.
type of acidity.
Yeah, an acidity, but more specifically like a vague citrus, like a zest. If you want to give that another shot. You get
after sipping the water, you do get the zest.
It's weird. It's like under my tongue. I'm kind of feeling it. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So somebody gives me that cup of coffee in their house at a restaurant. There's no cause for complaint.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
But okay, let's let's pivot. Again, that was the Dunkin Dark, is what they call it. And then this guy here that we're about to give a taste is the Cafe Verona, which is, the standard dark roast for most of the year at Starbucks. Obviously, there are some different holiday blends, different seasons.
Well, yeah, no, I mean they switch actually rather frequently. It's usually every couple of weeks that
Or I guess
they'll switch.
Pike's as well.
Well, Pike Place is not a dark roast,
it's a
though.
medium.
It's a medium.
Okay.
So what Starbucks does is that every couple of weeks they'll have a featured dark roast, and the featured dark roast it'll change. So this time it was Cafe Verona. However, next time it might be Sumatran. The next time after that it might be Signature Blend. The next time after that it might be Christmas Blend. They have all of these different featured dark roasts, and they kind of switch through it every couple of weeks. That's really how it's done, and that's really, like, for me, that's a big differentiator between Starbucks and Dunkin', is that Dunkin' has the consistency, right?
Sure.
It's always the same thing, and you can rely on that, and some people like that. But on the other hand, for people who maybe get bored of having the same thing time and time and time again, Starbucks says, hey, every couple of weeks we're going to switch it up. We're going to give you something new. If you're lucky enough to live by one of their reserve locations, you have a ton of different options available as far as coffee is concerned.
Sure.
Obviously, a Starbucks vanilla latte in New York is going to be the same as a Starbucks vanilla latte in
California,
Philly,
Florida,
or
whatever,
California, or in France.
Sure.
But nonetheless, their coffees, though, their offerings, their selections differ by location, by store, by time of year. It's really something. What do you think about the Verona?
International Starbucks, just to toot my own horn here a little bit. I mean, like, for example, this guy here, it's one of their, I think it's what, Been There collection.
Yeah, Been There.
Yeah, this is one of the ones from New York City, so a bit of the skyline, stuff like that. But this guy, really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan of it. Number one, aesthetically, I think it's just beautiful.
Oh, yeah, very
the
pretty.
gold on the sort of light green, or not turquoise, doesn't matter.
It's like a jade.
But yes, jade's probably an accurate description. But that guy is actually from one of these Starbucks reserve locations in Seoul, in South Korea. He was out there not too long ago, and I just had to pick up something like that. I think it's just really cool. Being not a huge Starbucks fan, but a fan nonetheless. It's just a nice thing to have.
What do you think of the Verona?
I didn't taste it yet. It smells, honestly, a little more going on in the nose.
Cafe Verona is actually known as the coffee of love, at least for Starbucks anyway. That was how they marketed it many, many moons ago. One of their big tasting notes, aside from earth, is cocoa. Cocoa is really, really big, especially on the palate. It is not a super high acidity coffee. It's lower in acidity, and that's what helps those cocoa notes kind of come to the surface a little bit more. Unlike the Dunkin', we probably won't expect to have as much zest. It'll be more, again, focused on those cocoa sort of flavors and aromas.
More earthy.
Definitely.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I did like the playful zest from that, but
from the Dunkin'.
Yeah, sorry, from the Dunkin'. But that was it was kind of the only thing going on for the Dunkin'. As opposed to with this guy, the cocoa, it has a certain grittiness that is coming through pretty clearly on the sides of the palate. And then
nice
the earth
tannic
tones,
structure.
Yeah, yes. But very earth tones are very much centered.
Oh yeah, the cocoa and the earth just dominates.
Very little acidity. Yeah,
very,
definitely an accurate description.
Yeah, very, very, very low acidity. This is not the lowest acidity coffee that they offer, but one of the lower acidity coffees that they offer.
Definitely, you can tell.
I should mention the color on this one as well is much more opaque. It's clearly Starbucks has roasted these beans longer, and that is, I think, is something that Starbucks has a reputation for, to roast their beans for a bit longer than most of your average coffee suppliers. But this is one mighty fine cup of Joe. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no. I feel similar to the way I felt about the experience we had with the lattes. I think that while I wasn't maybe expecting a lot, it did exceed my expectations.
Certainly.
The standard, well, not standard, but the Dunkin' dark roast, whatever they're calling it, did. It was pretty good. Like I said, once again, very, very drinkable, kind of tasty. But what I would say, excuse me, I was giving me a lot of burps. What I would say is the Starbucks definitely has more going on. And obviously, there's like you had mentioned earlier, there's a bunch of different dark roasts they go with. But just apples to apples, what's available right now. I would definitely say it's a pretty easy choice for me. If you're a person that's specifically into a bit more of the zest or the acidity, number one, we could have tried a lighter roast that would have had a lot more acidity.
Well, yeah, or even just a different dark roast that had
they
more
have.
acidity.
Yeah, exactly. That's just what was available right now.
So the high acidity coffees, they tend to come from the Latin America growing region. They tend to have a lot of lemon. You can get some cocoa notes out of it, but it tends to be very lemony, very citrusy, and very high in acidity. Growing in regions such as the Asia Pacific region, like you talk about Sumatra, you talk about Indonesia, areas like that, those tend to be the lower acidity growing regions where the beans simply don't have as much acid to begin with. Having said that, if you simply don't roast the beans as much, you can also retain a lot of acidity as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But now, we're not going to make any coffee right now because I don't feel like it. But what I would say is, again, Starbucks is not your only alternative.
No.
Number one, seek out some local coffee shops. Whether it's Stack's Espresso Bar up in Albany, New York, or I don't know what's one I'm a big fan of down here. Frankly, where I'm at in New York City. Gosh, I hate the selection I've got out here. But even other chains, there's was a really good place I've been to in New Jersey called Cheech's. No matter. At the end of the day, if you seek it out, unless you live in a really small place, and I'm sorry, but if you
sometimes small places they have really
they do
actually.
It's a really awesome example is Bab's Coffee, Bab's Coffee House. They've got two locations that I've been to anyway, perhaps more, but both in North Dakota. One in Jamestown, North Dakota. One in Fargo, North Dakota.
Nice.
And awesome coffee. Tons of other stuff too, like Italian soda and blended beverages like this. But lattes, standard coffee from there, super enjoyable. And then again, alternatively, you can make coffee at home, especially in today's day and age. There's so many resources on how to make the coffee, how to grind the coffee, where to get it online. You can search out a place in person or just do one of the online subscription services for coffee bean delivery. If you're gonna do that, one thing I would say keep in mind. Roast dates. Find out also, how you're going to make that coffee. If it's a pour over, if it's a French press, you don't need a super fancy coffee maker. But if you want one, get one. But even just a standard
drip brewer.
Yeah, standard drip brewer that just uses a pot of coffee. The stock standard as far as American homes. That's a good cup of coffee. You can make a good quality coffee by just finding the right beans, grinding it to the right consistency. If you can avoid pre-ground stuff. But this has been not so fine. I think not to rag on them too much, but I do think Dunkin did fall into the not so fine category.
Oh, certainly.
I do think that Starbucks is an excellent alternative, and they're often available in the same areas, not too far from one another. So if you drink Dunkin because it's convenient, but you're not that thrilled with the quality of it, or if you drink Dunkin, you like it, but you want to venture out, whether it's making it at home, seeking out Starbucks, or finding local coffee shops. And honestly, find local coffee shops. I just recommend Starbucks a lot because it's available to so many people, and there's a level of consistency you can expect.
That's very true.
But this has been not so fine. If you like what we're doing, just beneath the video. Number one, you can select our social media. We've got an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter. Go ahead and check out the content there. We post some really cool pictures, some more behind the scenes stuff or photographs of stuff that maybe wasn't featured actually on the show. But in addition to that, tap subscribe, hit the actual subscribe button, which is that little bell if you want to get some notifications. You know, we say this again and again and again. But if you want to be alerted to the content we're putting out, and we're going to try to have a video out a week.
Every week.
Like clockwork. That's going to be one of the only ways to get alerted to it. But I think that's about it for us.
Yeah, I'd say so. Guys, thanks for coming in and watching. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.